Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/BestOf for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Wait. Before we start, does this interest you? This distinguished gentleman is now live on Makeshift.com for a grand total of $30. Link in the description below. Make sure you snag one before the time expires because it's not coming back. By the possums, 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 by the possums. Now to your regularly scheduled program. This post was collected by Schattenspringer, and their tagline is, waste of a read, literally no drama. Original OP is SD Close Block 1332, posted at r/Drew Off My Chest. Posted September 21st, 2025. My girlfriend found out that I lied about me and my friends playing fantasy football, and I know I screwed up big time. I know it was wrong to lie to my girlfriend, and I probably should have just told her the truth. I lied because I didn't want to hurt her or upset her, but I realized it was still a lie. I've been playing fantasy football with some friends for years. We're all big sports fans, but football is the biggest. Last season, one of the guys dropped out of our fantasy league because he said it was taking up too much of his time, and he was afraid it was pushing him into a gambling problem. We needed another player, and my girlfriend watches football, so we asked her to play. I know I'm not going to catch heat for saying this, but it wasn't as fun playing with her as I thought it would be. I don't know if it was beginner's luck or what, but she pretty much destroyed the rest of us all season. It wasn't fun losing to her. So this season, we just decided to tell her we weren't playing this year. I didn't want to at first, but the other guys insisted. We invited the new brother-in-law of one of the other guys to play instead. I just told her everyone was too busy to play this year, and she didn't question it. On Thursday night, we slipped up and she found out we were still playing. She had to go to work, but she was pissed off. She's been frosty since she got home Friday morning. Next weekend, we're supposed to go to an out-of-state wedding. Her family isn't from Chicago, but now she said she wants to go by herself. I tried to explain, but it just made her mad. It's nothing personal. No one hates her or anything. I know I'm going to catch heat in the comments. Every time I try to explain it, makes it worse. I screwed up, and there's no way around it. But she's so upset, and I don't know what to do to make it better. I know I fucked up. Comment by OP. Downvoted. I make no excuses. I realize I screwed up. Every time I try to explain, I make it worse. I did apologize, but she doesn't want to hear it now. I understand why she's mad, and I don't make any excuses for lying or hiding it. I should have stuck to my guns when the other guys insisted. Update, December 2nd, 2025, about 2 months later. So, it's over. I know I screwed up and the writing was on the wall. The worst part is that I have no excuses. I know how badly I fucked this up. I'm not even looking for sympathy here. When my girlfriend got back from the wedding, she asked me why I lied to her. I didn't have any answer for her. All my explanations just made it worse and didn't really explain anything. I tried to apologize, but she didn't want to hear it. It was the worst week of my life. It was almost like she was freezing me out. At one point, she asked me if we ever talked about her in the group chat for our fantasy league. I didn't even have to answer. She just said, "It's not nice, right?" And I think that was the turning point. I never want to see her cry, and the worst part is knowing I did this because I was stupid and didn't stand up to my friends. She said she doesn't think we're compatible and shouldn't date anymore. She didn't want to accept my apologies, and I understand, and I won't bother her now. She went to stay with her family for another week, and now I've heard she came back because of her job, pharmacist. And now she's staying with friends, but I'll leave her alone. I'm looking for another place to live because our lease is up at the end of the month. She left 2 weeks ago, and it feels empty. And the worst part is, I know it's my fault. I barely care about watching football now, and normally I would be excited about it because my team is in first place. If you take anything away from my post, don't put your friends over the person you love. Learn to stand up to your friends. I learned my lesson after all this. They're just mad because they lost to a girl who doesn't really participate in football culture. That's my opinion on this one. He deserves it. There's a small little comment interaction in the comments of the BestOf post that put things into words a bit faster than I would have. User No Atmosphere 2528 comments, "The really telling part is they're still shit-talking her even though she's not in the league and doesn't even think it exists. Like, How are you shit-talking someone who destroyed you so badly you exiled her from the league, lol. User SheepGodYS responds. Notably, he doesn't mention at all in his first post that his friends were insulting her because he knew it would make him and his friends look even more pathetic, lol. Dude 100% tolerated his friends just actively shit-talking his girlfriend because she just whooped their asses at fantasy football. In the end, you and your friends chose to exclude her from a game that she was better than you guys at. And you guys were mad about that. Then you lied to her about the fact that it wasn't going to be happening this year. Also, it doesn't sound like you truly apologized. It sounds like you kind of gave half-assed apologies and explanations that would just make you seem worse. What kind of apologies did you actually give? Was it just, I'm sorry I lied to you about this and didn't tell you about it? Or was it an actual heartfelt apology that, shows that you've grown and changed from it? I mean, I know which one it was, because she broke up with you. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, Satan is not a pogo stick. The original OP is My Pajams, posted to r/amItheasshole May 6th, 2020. Would I be the asshole for embarrassing the neighbors for trespassing in our backyard? Our family moved into our home about 2 years ago. We moved in, and our adjacent neighbor has been a nightmare. They're a 40-something couple who have a 5-year-old son with developmental disabilities. When we first moved in, we wanted a privacy fence for our dogs. Our realtor, our seller's realtor, and our seller said it wouldn't be an issue. The neighbor fought the HOA about it for 3 months, and due to the situation and needing a fence, we made huge concessions and installed a 4-foot fence. It started with them calling the cops one morning when my husband got home from work on a Sunday morning, sat on our backyard deck after a night shift, and drank a beer and hung out with our daughter. They said he was endangering our daughter. Thankfully, the cop understood wanting a beer after a night shift and just popped in and popped out. We had a little Fisher-Price playhouse last summer for her to play in, and they reported it to the HOA. We hung a baby swing off a tree branch. Same thing. Call from the HOA. The mom particularly will park her minivan in front of our driveway so husband can't pull in or out of the garage, and wigs out when my husband comes and knocks on her door at 5:30 a.m. to move it. Suffice to say, we have learned our lesson, and when we decide to install a playset, we jump through the hoops. Last month, we had a landscaper install it. It's essentially a playground in our backyard. We both work essential jobs and no one is home during the day. My husband switched to nights and has watched the past 2 weeks. Her or her husband have been letting themselves into our backyard to let their son play for an hour or two, twice a day. First through the gate, which we then locked. Now they jump the fence and bring a stepladder to get back over. They always wait for me to leave for work. I'm not sure they see my husband pull in at around 6-ish a.m. We bought a security camera that records. Am I the asshole if I plan to record them playing in my backyard and putting it on the neighborhood next door app and Facebook page? She's active in both and complains about us, including a post about our playground landscaping being insensitive. My other option is to call the cops, but I don't want to frighten their son. Verdict, not the asshole. Relevant comments. Deleted user. Not the asshole, but keep it to the proper channels. Call the cops for trespassing. Contact the HOA. Every time you notice them parked blocking your driveway, call and have it towed immediately. All your neighbors seem to know about them anyway. Word will get out. And how is calling the cops scary for the son? They already called the cops on you for illegal activity on your own property. Also, are shrubs/trees legal in lieu of fence for privacy? Perhaps with thorns? Can you add a privacy screen or trellis to your porch/deck? Good luck! OP responds, their son is fairly developmentally disabled, just from how his mom in particular behaves. Last time she called the cops on us for using our backyard to have a beer and mimosa on a Sunday. Honestly, she is that person that wigged out on us, called the police on 911. The police came, saw we were sitting on our porch, apologized to us, and she went ballistic at the cop for not arresting us. And it just started a chain event, and the little boy just lost his mind on the police officer. Thankfully, he's very visibly a disabled child. I think we will contact the police to ask them to witness it and quietly address it this time, and let the officer know if it happens again, we will press charges. If we want to plan anything, we have to have HOA approval, and the neighbor folks are just not amenable. And the HOA isn't going to open the can of worms where they don't follow their own bylaws. Trees, fence, and landscaping to keep views of the area is very important. It specifically calls out plants over 18 inches high. Honestly, had our neighbors not been giant turds about everything and pretty much treat us like we're single-handedly ruining their neighborhood, or even asked us while our daughter was away with her grandparents while my husband and I were working 75 to 80 hours a week to use it, I think I would have said, yeah, not a big deal. Now I'm mad this lady posts about our bad behavior every week on social media and talks shit about us, and now actually does something that's actually illegal, and I can't shout it from the rooftops that she's a hypocrite. User Sassiza. Not the asshole, but be the bigger person and go to your HOA first and let them know that the next step is to call the cops. You don't want them threatening to sue you if you put the video on social media. I understand they would probably lose if they did sue, but you lose too if you had to hire legal counsel. Good luck with these assholes. Edit. First of all, OP, please let us know what happens. I see in comments to my post there are some stating that you have every right to post the trespassing video on social media. Since none of us know where you are located, I don't think it is good advice. Know what your rights are as well as the trespasser rights before you follow that type of advice. As one poster suggested, have their car towed next time it's blocking your driveway. User CR2810 comments, I agree, take this to the HOA and tell them they need to approve your 6-foot fence now. And I would also go to the cops. You need to have the neighbors given an official trespassing notice. OP responds to these comments with, how the HOA bylaws work, all adjacent properties have to agree with the fence. They were the only neighbors that refused to, and we had to compromise and install the only fence that is auto-approved. But I plan on parking my car a block away this afternoon and calling the police that we have trespassers. OP responding to a downvoted commenter who thinks be the bigger person and a better neighbor. Honest to God, both of their sons are great. Before she started posting on the neighborhood Facebook, I've paid the teenage son to sit for our daughter before. And I honestly wouldn't care if they asked if they could use it. Our daughter is with our grandparents until husband is no longer taking care of COV plus patients, so we don't use it, and I've literally watched them run cleaning supplies on the touch surfaces after use. Right now is a difficult time, and we can be good members of our community. And if this can make his life better, and in turn their lives a little easier, then let's do it. But it takes a lot of cojones to bitch about us on the internet almost weekly, and bitch about my backyard, and then feel free to use it. Update 1. Same update 5 hours later. Update 1. Spoke to 2 attorneys. Specifically, I used Google and searched for previous cases involving my HOA where the attorney represented the homeowner. A. This particular HOA is really not afraid to spend money on lawsuits. He thought if we wanted a higher fence and installed it without permission or landscaped any further, we would be fined if someone complained. B. The HOA can't do anything about her behavior, and for a few $100s, she will draft a letter making it clear we find this lady's posts on their Facebook to be harassing. C. To call the non-emergency police and leave a message. D. As far as she's concerned, we have the appropriate insurance for our attractive nuisance. E. Because they're using a ladder to use our attractive nuisance to get over the fence, and an adult is accompanying him, that the particular laws in our state make it very clear if it's not easily accessible, it's not an attractive nuisance, and it only covers children. F. There's nothing illegal about posting it on Facebook/Nextdoor. Update 2. Same day, 13 hours later. Update 2. I spoke with the non-emergency police line and the community-assigned police officer called me about 10 minutes later. The community police officer, he was very nice, looks like he's been winding down his career as a school police COO and a community cop, agreed if I called him today, he would come and help me have the conversation and issue them a warning about trespassing. I don't want them charged, I want to be the bigger person, even if I want nothing more than to be extra petty and put her on blast with the neighbors. They showed up for the afternoon play around 2:30. The dogs and cameras let me know. I called the officer, and he parked down the block, and we both walked around the house. He verified my gate is locked, to my very surprised neighbors. I said, hey Rachel, we need to talk. We can sit down and do it. I'm pissed you all are in my backyard without my permission, but I feel like I can control my emotions. I told her we had noticed that they were at first letting themselves into my backyard, but now they were breaking into it. I said coming into my yard without my permission needed to end today. The officer point-blank said he works 8 to 5 Monday through Friday and will respond immediately to any trespassing incidents after today. She got a little snippy and started talking back to the officer, but the officer escorted her and her son and her ladder off the property and said he didn't want to hear it and that she's an adult and she can't go into a fenced property even when it's unlocked. Rachel posted not even 15 minutes after this happened on the neighborhood Facebook with a picture of my backyard about how ridiculous it is that you can get a playground approved in a backyard and how ugly it is and how it's devaluing everyone's property and how it's dangerous and if anyone thinks it's impeding her view. Some agreement from her friends and a few people reminding her we live in a very kid-friendly neighborhood, and it looked nice and natural. I also posted in the neighborhood Facebook with a picture from my office of my backyard with her and her son using a ladder to get over the fence into my backyard. Really good ISO landscaping suggestions on my fence line to keep neighbors out. I may be using your stimulus check on getting some supplies and making portable privacy fence/green trellis garden boxes. Suffice to say, her Facebook post is deleted, and her husband Facebook messaged me asking me to delete mine. Final comments. General Moy, thank you for keeping us informed. Please continue to do so. Opie responds, fuck, if I thought I wouldn't get identified by posting the video here, I would. They literally have an above-ground swimming pool ladder they move and climb into my yard with. Tano55 comments, are you gonna remove your post? What did her husband say about her using your backyard? Opie responds, I took my post down. The guy has also been climbing our fence and using our backyard, so it's not just a her problem, it's their bad behavior, not just hers. She probably had no idea that she was on video and had footage of her climbing the fence and doing that kind of stuff. Gotta love the projection of her doing something blatantly illegal, and then the moment she gets busted for it, suddenly making it about her neighbor and how it's potentially blocking her view. It's actually a bit unfortunate that if they just had a kind relationship with their neighbor, this wouldn't have ever been a problem. They could have 100% just set up some kind of arrangement where, oh yeah, here's the code to the backyard, or yeah, you're totally free to use it, just make sure you take care of it and let us know if anything happens. There could have 100% been some sort of agreement between the two neighbors, even according to OP, for them to use the little playground set. But no. So they had to be bastards about it, and briefly got shamed on Facebook. This post was collected by Dread Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, of course, Satan is not a pogo stick. The original OP is student actress friend, posted May 5th, 2016 to r/relationships. Should I, 24 female, drop out of my friend's 26 male student film because his lead actor, 25 male, makes me really uncomfortable? Basically, my friend Tom is making a student film for his thesis project. This is an extremely important project for him and will determine if he graduates. So he's already stressing about it. I helped him write the script, writing major, and then he asks me if I would act in it. He said it would mean a lot to him, and I've acted in a few different plays and another student film that won some awards before, so I agreed. He was seriously so thankful and thrilled, and admitted he'd written the role of the female lead with me in mind. Great. I asked him early on who he had in mind for the other actors, but he listed off names that I didn't personally know. Now we're ready to start filming. Tom's gotten all of the equipment and scouted out locations we need. I just found out that he's secured this guy, Brad, as the male lead of the film. Brad and I have a slight history. I went on one date with him from a dating app about 10 months ago. I didn't know he had any connection to Tom. To put it bluntly, Brad was really weird. I immediately felt like there was something off about him. He was pushy, aggressive, and did not respect the boundaries of going on a date with a stranger at all. He kept staring at me with this empty, almost angry look in his eyes. He kept putting his hand on my knee or thigh under the table, even when I moved away. He talked about the weirdest shit, how he had never fucked a non-white girl before, wondering if our vaginas are tighter, asking me if I'm into giving oral, talking about how he'd recently killed a deer, and as a joke, left its heart on his vegetarian friend's doorstep. I actually legitimately thought it was a prank / what would you do TV situation, but the cameras never showed up. After lunch was over, I stood up and said I had to go, and he kept trying to negate my excuse. I said I had a doctor's appointment, and he kept saying that I could reschedule it, that it's easy to just skip appointments because there's no consequences. He followed me out into the parking lot and grabbed my elbow and tried to steer me towards his car so we could go on a drive. I finally hit my breaking point and turned to him and said, "Dude, I don't know if you know this, but you come off as really disrespectful and rude. Don't touch a chick if you don't know her. People are going to think you're a rapist. I'm going to my appointment. Let me go." He let me go in silence and I drove off, blocked him, and moved on with my life. Until I just found out that Tom has gotten the same Brad to act in his film. Not only that, he's the lead. If the script stays the way it is, I might have to act as his love interest. I absolutely do not want this, and the very thought of even being in the same room as that guy makes me kind of nauseous. How do I tell Tom? I don't want to be that diva who gives ultimatums or refuses to work with others, and this film is extremely important to Tom's future. He's my friend, and I don't want to let him down or leave him in the lurch. Finding another actress could be really difficult for him at this point, but I'm pretty sure I absolutely cannot work with that creep Brad. Is it really okay to force Tom to choose between the two of us, or should I just bow out? Too long didn't read, very close friend asked me to act in his student film, which is also his thesis project. Found out that this creepy guy I went on a date with is the principal actor. I don't want to force my friend to choose between the two of us or begin the arduous process of finding a replacement this late in the game. But I can't work with that guy. What do I do? Top comments. Good for that. I think. It's been 7 years since I've taken any kind of French class. It has something to do with love. I just can't remember off the top of my head. Anyways, it's not forcing Tom to do anything. You simply say, "Hey, sorry, I recently found out that this creepy guy I went on a date with is the principal actor. I don't want to force you to choose between the two of us or begin the arduous process of finding a replacement this late in the game, but I can't work with that guy. What do we do?" It's not mean or rude to state your deal breakers. Working with a guy that makes you uncomfortable is a deal breaker to you working on the project. Tell Tom. It's then up to him to decide how to deal with your decision. User advice no one wants. Comments. I would also add, if this was just a simple personality conflict, I wouldn't be bothering you with this. He groped me repeatedly while making racist sexual comments all throughout our date. I tried to leave early, and he followed me out to the parking lot and tried to physically restrain me from getting to my car. User J314271 comments, if your friend wants to be a successful director, he needs to learn about this thing called chemistry, especially between leads. He should have arranged a meeting for the principals early enough to recast. It's great you want to be a supportive friend, but this is his problem, not yours. Edit. Rewrite the scripts that your character has to deal with a toad. Your acting will be superb and you'll win another award. Smiley face. Deleted user responds, true, you're the writer. Rewrite the story so that Brad's character dies in the first scene. Update. May 6th, 2016. 1 day later. Thank you everybody for your advice on my original post. Seen here. Post's link with a TLDR. I know I seemed like a doormat for asking what to do, but I really didn't want to screw my friend over, and also didn't know if putting up with the unpleasant co-actors was just part of being a professional. I keep seeing stories about Hygh being horrible to work with on set and never getting along with other actors, and that's why everybody hates her. Haha. Thank you to everyone who told me to talk to Tom and share my concerns. I agree that he should have tested the leads before casting them, but to be fair to him, everyone's schedules have been crazy this semester and I was out of town last week, so I think that's why he just went ahead and hired Brad. Anyway, after my post, I decided to meet Tom for dinner. He asked me how I've been, and I kind of clumsily launched into a story about this shitty date I had with this guy, Brad, without saying it was Brad. Tom was really sympathetic and was saying things like, holy shit dude, that guy's a creep, I'm glad nothing happened to you, what an asshole. I'm glad you're safe, I feel like I'd fight him or something if I could. I felt kind of sneaky about doing it this way, but people's suggestions to lead off with the story without saying the name seemed effective. At that point, I told Tom that the person I was actually talking about was Brad, and that when I found out, I felt really awkward and wasn't sure how to tell Tom, but I hoped he could see why I wouldn't want to work with that guy. I said I really wanted to be part of Tom's project, but I didn't know what to do, and wanted him to have all the facts. I said I'm going along with any decision he made. It kind of blew his mind that I was really talking about Brad, and he took a little while to process it. I asked him how he knew Brad, and he said that he was just a classmate that he'd worked on a project with earlier this year. They weren't amazing friends or anything. He seemed to brood over the info for a while, and I didn't really know what to say, so we just ate in silence for a bit. Finally, Tom said matter-of-factly, "Okay, thanks for telling me. Do you know of anybody we can replace him with?" I was surprised, and he was surprised I was surprised. He said, "That guy's a dick. I'm not going to work with him if he treated you that way. We'll find someone else." I was so happy and grateful that I started tearing up a bit. It's not that important to me to work on Tom's film, but it was just so nice to hear that he had my back with no reservations or hesitation. He was kind of bemused that I thought he would want to keep Brad over me. So, as of this morning, Tom has informed Brad that he's no longer on the project and he's talking to a few different people he knows as replacements. We are going to do auditions to see who has good chemistry, as others have suggested. He's stressed about finding somebody, but he says it's good that I told him now and not after we started shooting. So thank you again to everyone for telling me to tell him ASAP. I'm not sure how I feel about how Tom did it. The firing, I mean. He just texted Brad and said something like, "Sorry, but this isn't going to work out. We don't need you for the role anymore." I'm not sure if Brad should have been informed of the reason why we didn't want to work with him. I almost feel like he should know he's a creep and that his behavior has consequences, but Tom said he was worried that Brad would blame me and that he didn't need an explanation for being let go. I see his point, and he's the director. It doesn't really matter since Brad is now gone. Yay! I've blocked Brad's number and his Facebook because I feel like he would try to contact me after this. I know he kind of went, "What the fuck, bro?" and asked Tom something about me. But Tom didn't answer, and he really didn't specifically say how Brad reacted when he got fired. He literally said, "Don't worry about it," to me when I asked. I did notice that Brad looked at my LinkedIn sometime today, but that's about it. Thanks again, everyone, for your advice. I'm over the moon at how this turned out, and I'm looking forward to filming this summer. Too long didn't read. Bye, creepy Brad. Hello, new co-star and great friend Tom. Damn, Buddy really resorted to stalking her on LinkedIn after being blocked on all their avenues. That's gross. And LinkedIn? Of all places? Ugh. Considering this was almost a decade ago, I wonder where Brad is now. I wonder if his weird flirting style ever actually worked on someone. And by worked, I mean socially pressured them into a really uncomfortable situation and made their evening hell. Out of all the conversation topics to potentially discuss on a first date, never in 100 years would I ever put in the top 5 asking the person if they're into giving oral, talking about how they've never fucked a non-white girl before, commenting on the person's genitalia and how it's probably tighter, putting your hands on them numerous times, and then eventually bragging about killing a deer and putting its heart on a vegan friend's doorstep. Yeah, dude, that is definitely how you score brownie points on a first date. Massive W's towards Tom, though. Definitely a great guy on that front for hearing the problem and just immediately, without question, just shutting the whole situation down, siding with OP, and getting Brad the fuck off the set. Good on him! This post was collected by Shattenspringer, and their tagline is, "Waste of a read, literally no drama." The regional OP is Amara Mehdi, I hope. Posted to r/today I fucked up. December 2nd, 2025. Today I fucked up by realizing my mute button wasn't muted during a 2-hour stakeholder meeting. This happened 2 hours ago and I'm still hiding under my blanket. I was in a massive all-hands meeting, about 40 people, for a project launch. Usually I keep my mic hard muted on my headset, but today I was eating lunch, so I was double muted, software mute plus headset mute. Or so I thought. About 45 minutes in, the project manager was explaining a delay in the timeline. I, thinking I was safe in my cocoon of silence, let out a very loud, very deep sigh and muttered, "Oh my God, just get to the point, nobody cares." The audio didn't just pick it up. Because of the way Teams/Zoom prioritizes active speakers, my face popped up on the main screen for a split second. The silence was deafening. The project manager paused for a solid 5 seconds. Nobody said anything. He just continued. I slowly reached up and tapped my headset. It beeped. Mute on. It had been off the whole time. I have not checked my Slack messages. I am considering faking my own death and moving to a farm. Too Long Didn't Read thought I was double muted during a major stakeholder meeting, accidentally sighed and told the PM to get to the point in front of 40 people. Now I am afraid to open Slack. Update, December 3rd, 2025, 1 day later. First of all, thank you to everyone who suggested I fake my own death and move to a farm. I spent last night looking up potato farming tutorials on YouTube, but unfortunately I have a mortgage, so I had to log in this morning. I promised an update, so here's the damage report. I logged in at 8:59 a.m. My heart was beating so hard I could hear it in my ears. I hovered over the Slack icon for a solid minute before clicking it. 12 unread messages. Most were from my work friends sending skull emojis and gifs of people digging graves. But there it was. A direct message from the project manager himself sent at 4:30 p.m. yesterday. The message: "Hey, my name, do you have 5 minutes for a quick sync before stand-up?" I almost threw up. Quick sync is corporate speak for execution. I joined the call, no video. I wasn't ready for him to see the fear in my eyes. He joined. Silence for 3 seconds. Then he laughed. A dry, tired laugh. He said, "So, yesterday." I immediately started apologizing. I unleashed a word salad of technical difficulties, bad day, audio glitch, and I am so sorry. He cut me off. "Look, honestly, you weren't wrong. I realized after the meeting that I spent 20 minutes explaining a 2-minute delay. I tend to ramble when I'm stressed about deadlines." I stopped breathing. "Was this a trap?" He continued. "However, let's maybe keep the commentary to internal monologue next time. My boss was on that call. He thinks it was unprofessional, but I told him you were just frustrated with the audio issues. You owe me one." The result? I'm not fired. I am, however, officially the mute guy. During the stand-up meeting today, when I joined, another coworker typed in chat, "Careful everyone, the truth teller is here." I have taped a physical piece of cardboard over my mute button. I am never speaking again. Too Long Didn't Read finally opened Slack. The project manager admitted he was rambling, but saved my ass with his boss. I am now the office legend who said what everyone was thinking, but I will likely die of embarrassment before the project launches. Update 2, December 3rd, 2025, 2 days later. It has been 2 days since I taped a piece of cardboard over my mute button. I genuinely thought if I kept my mouth shut, the truth teller jokes would die out by Friday, and I could go back to being invisible. I was wrong. I just checked my calendar and saw an invite for a Q4 strategy review on Thursday. Host, the department head, the big boss who heard me sigh. Attendees, the senior leads, the project manager, and me. I immediately panic messaged my project manager, the one I told to get to the point yesterday, asking if this was a mistake. He replied, "No mistake. Big boss liked your honesty about the timeline delay yesterday. He thinks the rest of the team is too polite to give bad news. He wants you there to call out the bullshit." You guys don't understand. I'm not a straight shooter. I'm just an anxious introvert who was hungry and wanted to eat his sandwich in peace. I don't know anything about Q4 strategy. I just want to write code and hide. Now I've been drafted as the corporate vibe checker. If I stay silent, I fail the big boss. If I speak, I might actually get fired this time. Currently Googling how to sound smart without being mean, and considering faking a microphone driver failure. Too Long Didn't Read, my accidental insult was interpreted as leadership potential. Now the big boss wants me to sit in on strategy meetings to roast people. I am unqualified for this. Hey bud, congratulations on somehow falling upward on a ladder. Good job. Good luck. I mean, I guess at this point in time, buddy, just joined all the meetings hungry. I genuinely hope that this works out for OP. I'll be keeping an eye on this one, but buddy, unironically, this is how some people are able to actually climb the corporate ladder and get into positions and whatnot and, start living better lives. Good luck. Don't forget, today we're launching the 3 opossums in a trench coat plush. Coming live and yeah. But you should definitely buy this plush. It is totally not 3 opossums in a trench coat. Totally not. You should definitely allow this completely non-conspicuous, oddly shaped, distinguished gentleman into your home, who will certainly not lay claim to your pantry. This is in fact 3 opossums in a trench coat who will in fact lay complete desolation to your fridge, pantry, and potentially garbage. On sale now!